What up, boxing fans? So this weekend we have the return of Triple G Gennady Golovkin as he faces what is really his best competition to date, in that of Daniel Geale. The fight's going to take place in Madison Square Garden, not the theater, the actual Madison Square Garden, and it'll be on HBO. Now, the fight we were supposed to have originally was a fight with Gennady Golovkin and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which would have taken place at 168 pounds, and it would have been on pay-per-view. But according to the story, Top Rank or Bob Arum were offering Chavez a contract extension. His contract wasn't even up, but they were basically giving or offering him the extension, and he wasn't, I guess, buying into it. On top of the fact that, from what I heard, he was asking for an undisclosed amount of money that was probably not in the ballpark of what they were going to give him. But they had to make a fight because, obviously, things were taking a while to materialize, and Golovkin they needed to make a fight, so it just got scrapped, and now he's going to be fighting Daniel Geale. Now, Daniel Geale is a guy who is, resume-wise, probably has the best resume in relation to guys that most boxing fans know as far as who he's fought. He's fought Udama, who Golovkin fought, and he's fought Darren Barker and Anthony Mundine. Now, in the big scheme of things, it's not like they're not the greatest accolades, but the big issue with Golovkin is that he's obviously, I would say, more so than any current fighter right now that's not on pay-per-view, he has the biggest hype behind him. I mean, he's been on HBO several times now, and every time he's on HBO, he's taking these guys out. So the complaint from the boxing public, I mean, I think it's split 50-50 as far as how people feel about him, but a lot of people, I think, in a collective, want to see him fight better opposition. And Daniel Geale is the best competition, I would say, in relation to who he realistically could fight right now. He's the best option because, not to get off topic too much, but I think the biggest problem with Golovkin has been really the situation with the networks and the promoters. There was talks about they were trying to set up a fight with Peter Quillen. Now, Peter Quillen is signed to Golden Boy, and he's a Showtime fighter. And Gennady Golovkin is an HBO fighter. He's signed to K2. In that situation, I don't think it's so much of the promotions, but it's the networks. And Richard Schaefer was trying to do some situation where he had put something out when he was still working for Golden Boy. They would do a trade-off with HBO or something along the lines, and it just realistically wasn't going to work out. So, Golovkin has just been a guy who's really just been receiving the stone throwing from fans who just want to see him in there with better competition. But he's just, in my opinion, and based on the landscape of the division, and based on, like I mentioned, the networks and the promoters and what have you, he's in a tough bind, man. And when you look at the landscape, and when you ask yourself this, and I've had this debate with other people, Miguel Cotto right now is at the helm at middleweight. As far as, titles are concerned, he disposed of Sergio Martinez. So when you look at the ladder, it goes Miguel Cotto, Gennady Golovkin, Peter Quillen, and Daniel Geale. As far as who the top 4 ranked guys are, and Golovkin is fighting Geale. He can't fight Quillen. He's not going to fight Miguel Cotto. So what does he do? I just think that, unfortunately for him, in this fight, to talk about a fight with Daniel Geale, I think with Daniel Geale, you're going to see a guy who's going to try to keep Golovkin off of him. I think he's going to try to be the boxer in this case, like he's kind of done in his other fights, but he's a tough guy in relation to, like, just being somebody who isn't what they call the quintessential runner or what have you. I mean, he'll be there and he'll fight. I just think that he hasn't been in the ring with the likes of a guy like Golovkin. Even if you date back his amateur experience and you look at the resume of a Daniel Geale, you're not gonna find anybody in there that, be it an amateur or a pro, have been this dominant. I mean, it sounds I don't want to say cliche, but it sounds like you know, other people are saying the same thing, but I just don't think that Daniel Geale is going to get out of this fight on his feet. I've been one of the supporters for Golovkin based on just what I see in the ring, man. Competition is one thing, and granted, I'm a guy who wants to see him in better fights, but I also understand that he doesn't have a lot to choose from. So in this fight, man, I think Daniel Geale is going to put up a good effort early, but I think once he starts seeing how well Golovkin cuts the ring off, because, I mean, guys, this more so than any fighter I've seen in recent times, man. I mean, I haven't seen a fighter like Golovkin make a fighter so uncomfortable like he does. You know, and there's other fighters I can point out that are good in that department, but when you add in just the skill factor, his power, and just his ring smarts and the way he sets traps, there's just a lot of things I think boxing fans or who would consider themselves aficionados, I don't think they even see the little subtleties that I see that he can get away with even guys at 168. Now, that's the one major complaint that people have, where they're like, oh, well, if he could beat everybody at 160, why doesn't he just go to 168 and fight everybody there? But they've even said, they're like, yo, we're not ready to consistently fight at 168. They were going to fight Chavez Jr., but I think they just thought they could beat the shit out of Chavez Jr., you know, because they've also sparred him, so it's like they know in a sense what they're dealing with. Not in a real fight, but they're not foreign to Chavez Jr. But not to get off topic, as far as Daniel Geale is concerned, I don't see him after 4 or 5 rounds having a chance against Golovkin. I think Golovkin, in a way, I would say he's the total package if he had just amazing speed, but he doesn't have that type of speed, but he has really good timing, which offsets speed. And the more and more I look at Golovkin, man, I've said this in the past, there's nobody at middleweight that's going to beat this guy. At 168, could be a different story, but honestly, at middleweight, you could throw Cotto in there, and you guys know I'm a Cotto supporter. You could throw Quillen, you could throw friggin' Darren Barker, and obviously, you know, we're going to see him against Geale. He beats them all. He just does. You know, when you get to 168 and you start getting in there with guys who can punch maybe a little harder, maybe a little guys his natural size or maybe a little bigger, it gets to be a different story. Now, for the people who are talking about why doesn't he's ducking Andre Ward and all this, let me just set the record straight for Andre Ward, for those people who are just like out of the loop, okay? Andre Ward, for the past 3 years, has only fought once. And based on his recent history and based on the recent situation he's been having with his promoters, or with his promoter, the guy can't even get a fight, you know, like, and he's not going to even fight in 2014, you know, and we don't know what the deal is, because he even said it himself. He goes, yo, it's not like I don't want to fight, it's just my promoter won't let me fight, or he's not trying to get me fights. But again, here's what it boils down to. Gennady Golovkin, okay, and Andre Ward both have fought on HBO, okay? Now, you have a guy like Andre Ward, who is the last gold medalist in boxing for the United States, okay? He's undefeated, went through the Super 6, won it, beat Chad Dawson, making him come down to 168, but he agreed to it, whatever. But doing all this, and he's still not like a commodity for boxing, or he's not a name that people are jumping hurdles or calling their friends up to like go see fight. So, you know, it's like what Carl Froch said. Like, people think that Carl Froch is like, he doesn't want to fight Andre Ward again because like he's just scared of him. Look, he may think he'll lose against Andre Ward, but at the same time, like in his mind, he's thinking like, why am I gonna fight this guy again? It's like in essence, like Andre Ward brings nothing to the table monetarily, and Carl Froch, man, like he just fucking sold out a 70,000 seat stadium with Groves. I believe it was that number. I mean, quote me if I'm wrong. I just think people, cynical fans, I would say, don't look at the big picture, okay? I like Andre Ward, don't get me wrong, but Golovkin isn't losing anything not fighting Andre Ward yet. Because it's like, why are they going to attempt to make a fight with Andre Ward if his promoter can't even get him, or doesn't even want to get him a fight, let alone they've been having legal battles? Why are you going to try to jump into that scenario? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's not that Golovkin is ducking Andre Ward. Andre Ward can't even get a fight. You know what I mean? So, I don't see what the rush for Golovkin to go up to 168 is until he, you know, can get past Geale, and then at some point try to make the Quillen fight. You know what I mean? And then from there, then go to 168 and maybe fight a Froch or a Kessler or what have you, and then, you know, fight Andre Ward. I just don't see what the rush is, because they've even said themselves, like, almost subtly, like, we're not ready for Andre Ward, and like people still throw stones at him, and I'm like, yo, he's telling you flat out, like, yo, I want to stay at 160, do my thing, and then when I'm ready, I'll fight Andre Ward. But Andre Ward gotta make a name for himself too. How crazy is it that Gennady Golovkin and Chavez Jr. was going to be a pay-per-view fight, and Andre Ward to this day has not headlined a pay-per-view? How fucking crazy is that? You know what I mean? Like, look at the big picture, man. I mean, boxing is a business, and Andre Ward is not a meal ticket for anybody, man. Like, that, what, you know? Do you see people knocking down doors to fight Andre Ward? No, man. Like, I respect him as a fighter, man. Don't get me wrong, but I honestly don't think he's ever going to be this big cash cow, man. I just think because of the way he fights, and he doesn't have an outgoing personality, which in boxing you kind of need one or the other, you know? So, I don't know, man. Like, again, like, I know I've gotten off topic, but, you know, I didn't want to make a separate video for this, because I've been wanting to talk about this whole Andre Ward and Golovkin shit of people, you know, saying Golovkin's ducking him. As it stands, Golovkin's ratings are higher than Andre Ward on HBO. Any case, man, I'm getting on a tangent here, but back to the original topic as far as Golovkin and Daniel Geale is concerned. I'm looking for a Golovkin stoppage in this fight, mid or late, or, you know, 8th or 9th round. I think Daniel Geale will put up a good effort, but I think, once again, he's going to be in a lose-lose scenario as far as Golovkin's concerned, because there's going to be people who are going to still talk shit and say, he's not fighting anybody, and then they're going to say he should just go to 168. So he's in a lose-lose in this case, man, but it is what it is. But let me know what you think. Gennady Golovkin, Daniel Geale this Saturday. I'll be back to do a recap of it, and like I always say, subscribe, hit the links, and I'll be back soon.